Ladies, are you the one who gets it all done? Always pushing forward, always striving, in the constant chase for success. When was the last time you took a moment just for you? We are always on the go, rushing from one task to the next, barely pausing to catch our breath. What if we took a moment to pause? Imagine listening in, really listening to the wind, your heartbeat, your soul. What if slowing down was the key? A chance to discover a deeper connection with yourself. And from that connection, expand it to those you love, to the moments that truly matter. Pause, reflect, connect. It's time to live fully from the inside out. Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be. I'm Josette Diaz, and this is a Soulful Pause. And I've been thinking lately about women who don't wait for permission, the ones who show up at the starting line of a marathon, maybe, of reinvention, of a completely new version of themselves, and just run. Not because everything is figured out, not because the fear is gone, but because something deeper inside is saying go. So today's guest is one of those women, and I'm super excited to have this conversation, and you all are going to love this. And she didn't just run once. I'm going to tell you who she is in just a moment. She ran on every continent on this planet, 7 continents, 7 marathons. And what she brought back wasn't just miles, it was wisdom, it was herself. Oh gosh, I don't know about you, but that sort of sends chills through my body when I said that. And I'd like to welcome you to a Soulful Pause. Again, I'm Josette Diaz, and I am so excited for you to meet this woman. Dr. Melissa Corley Carter calls herself the barefoot dancing rocket scientist. And that title alone tells you everything that you need to know about a woman who refuses to be one thing. She is an actual rocket scientist, a retired Air Force officer, a 7 continents marathoner, an award-winning author, astronaut reject, which I'd like to talk to you about that, Melissa. Turned certified professional coach, and someone whose entire life seems to be a living, breathing invitation to the rest of us to be more fully, boldly ourselves. Wow. And Melissa, welcome to a Soulful Pause. I'm so glad that you're here with us.
Thank you so much, Josette. I am so honored and excited to be here.
I love this so much, Melissa. I've been perusing everything that you do leading up to our conversation, and we've had a couple of really great talks.
Mm-hmm.
And, I just think that you're a fascinating woman who has done a whole lifetime of things in just half of her life. And so it's an exciting opportunity for all of us to get to know you more and to hear about your work and the amazing things that you're doing in the world. And so I'd like to start off this first segment by talking about, a little bit about you and about your book. And so before we go anywhere, I have to ask the question I always want to ask a woman with a title like yours. The Barefoot Dancing Rocket Scientist. Tell us the real story behind that name and where it came from, because it's really unique.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So it's funny. It actually came out of things that I did, kind of hobbies, and who I was being what I was doing at the time. It has turned into who I'm being. So it actually, where it came from was actually from my husband, before he was my husband, when I was actually applying to a leadership class, and he was actually one of the facilitators. So that's how we met. But he was looking at my application and saw basically the rocket science PhD, and then we had to list hobbies, and I had put country and western and swing dancing and barefoot running. And so those were things. So when I had started running and I started running marathons, I actually got into the barefoot running craze.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of the book Born to Run, but I was one of those that
Yes.
glommed onto that when that book came out, and had started running barefoot. I didn't run any actual full marathons barefoot. The most I ran together was a 10 miler. But anyway, so I was running barefoot, and then I was doing a lot of country and swing dancing, and I loved the actual, like, the partner dancing aspect. And then there was the rocket scientist. So he read my application and he emailed me and he was like, a barefoot dancing rocket scientist. This should be interesting. And I was like, I've never like put all those together before. And at the time, I was not a coach. That was not where I was at the time. But when I got to that point, looking back, I thought, that's the thing. That's sort of your soul medicine. This is who I am. But then it's become a way of being, in that barefoot running, and just being barefoot in general, I find is really about grounding and connecting to the earth, connecting to the inner being, connecting to what comes naturally. And the other thing is all about partnering, and it doesn't have to be dancing with another human. Today, I find that the universe is our dance partner. It's all about timing and signals and artistry. Yeah. And then rocket science is really about exploring our horizons and seeing what else is possible in the world.
Isn't that exciting? I mean, it's so great. I love that somebody else can come in and put together your own words and say, this makes sense to me, and kind of like give you a practical way of seeing it.
Yes.
That explains everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
That's so great. And what a benefit that was. You met a future husband.
I did. Yes, indeed. Who saw my soul from the beginning.
Yeah, right. So, exactly. Yeah. What a beautiful place to meet someone. How nice. Yeah. So you've worn so many hats, and military officer, scientist, runner, coach, author. Was there a moment where all of those pieces finally felt like they belong to the same person? Or is that still a work in progress for you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think for the most part, they all felt like they belonged to the same person. I would say probably the one that was the hardest was the military officer and everything else. More maybe the military officer and the coach, although I actually ended up coaching in my Air Force career. I switched from engineering to being a coach and a leadership development facilitator in the Air Force Reserve, and got to actually do my passion in the Air Force as well. So that was really cool. Nice. But I think there was a little bit of I guess maybe resistance at first, because I felt like it was push-pull. Like I wanted to do my business, but then I had my Air Force days, and I felt like I kept going back and forth, and I couldn't be in one world. I kept getting pulled out of the world. And it actually took a while, but then I realized, instead of resisting this, feeling like I'm being pulled out of my world, what if I can use it to enhance my world, to be in the same world? And that's actually what happened. It turned out that the experiences I gained as a facilitator and a coach in the Air Force really enhanced my capacity in my civilian career. So really, I feel at the moment like an integrated whole, like everything did come together and feel like one whole person. So you hear the word multi-passionate a lot, and you were saying it just at the beginning, like someone who isn't just one thing. It's really, really nice to be able to integrate all of those facets and be that one person.
I love that. And I agree with you. I think that even when someone considers themselves to be one thing, like, I'm just a mom, or, I have this job and I'm a wife and whatever. Or just a career woman, not just but that's how we think of it sometimes. And I really think that we are all so multifaceted. We just don't think of them as big things sometimes. And so, like, if you like to tend your garden and you have a passion for that, like that is part of being a multifaceted human being. And so I really love that. I love that you bring that together. And the other thing I wanted to mention that I heard you say was, and I relate to this very much, about being a coach, and it really, you brought a lot of what you were as an officer into coaching. And I've found for myself that anyone who's been a leader, and I've been a leader in my past careers as well, so I understand that you do coach people in leadership
Mhm.
all the time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. You
so
really do.
it really comes from that like inner core that I think really, I don't know about you, I'm sure this is relatable to you, but it really it's ingrained so much in me that it's part of who I
Mhm.
am. It's
Mhm.
part of how I
Mhm.
move in the world, how I function, how I
Mhm.
think about things all the time.
Yes.
So I love that
Yeah.
you mentioned all of that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And I do relate to that. I feel like even when before we were using the term coaching, it was
Yeah,
who I was all throughout
right.
my life, actually. I just didn't have
Yes.
necessarily a word for it.
Yes, yes, I love
Mhm.
that. I know, and when coaching came out, I was
Mhm.
like, "Ooh, that's the thing. That's the
Mhm.
name of the thing that I love," you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
So I totally get that.
Yep.
So you described yourself as an astronaut reject.
Mhm.
It's the reject that I have a hard time with because I do not see you as a reject in anything. So
Thank you.
um, most people would want to bury that, right? Like they wouldn't want anyone to really, oh, whatever. And you put it in your bio. And what made you decide to own that instead of like hiding it or burying it?
Mm. Great question. I love that. And honestly, I do it as a little bit of a fun and an interest thing because it does stand out. But really the reason I do it is because I actually spent 20 years of my life aspiring to be
Mhm.
an astronaut and
Yeah,
doing all the things that, that you do when you want to be an astronaut,
yeah,
getting the degrees and doing the math and science and joining the Air Force, doing all the things. And then it didn't work out. I had always had bad eyesight, and then when it came down, they started allowing eye surgery, which I was crossing my fingers. I knew they would eventually do that, and they did. I got
yeah.
LASIK. I had 20/20 vision.
Nice.
I applied. They said my eyesight before LASIK was so bad that I was disqualified anyway.
Oh,
Yes.
so
So
sorry.
no, so it was crushing at the time, but
Yes,
for
right.
me, it was one of those transformational life experiences that
Mhm.
actually opened me to a higher purpose. And after much
Yes.
processing, it was certainly not overnight. It's been years in the making, but
Yeah.
I got to where I could explore what I really wanted in being an astronaut and discover that I was actually living my real dream every day. And so I embraced the astronaut reject because I think it inspires people to find the higher purpose and the power in those
Yeah.
major life disappointments or changes in
Mhm.
your things that you think, oh, this is the existential crisis. But
Yeah.
usually the existential crisis is the portal to something so much
Right.
more aligned with who you are, something that's really inviting you to leap
Mm.
into your highest potential. So that's why I celebrate it.
I love that. And okay, keep reject. Not that I have anything to do with it, but I do understand your point of view. And I think that
Mhm.
that's a really great thing to like let people know because nothing is perfect. And what I love about your story is that you followed this thread of becoming an astronaut. You, like you mentioned, you did all the things to get you
Mhm.
there. And then when it didn't come to fruition, you
Mhm.
found yourself doing something different, yet it actually was the true passion. And so you had to go through that
Yes.
pathway to get to it. Otherwise, you
Mhm.
may not have gotten underneath it.
Right, right, absolutely. I think even what I've come to discover is that every experience we have is really inviting us to take a small step or
Mm,
a giant leap into greater alignment with who we really are.
yes. Oh, love
So I still
that.
get to use my space language.
Yeah, that's so cool. We're going to get into some space language at some point
Yep.
here.
Mhm.
So, I want to ask you, let's see, about the woman that before all of this, before the marathons, before the book, before the coaching, who was she? And what was it that she was actually carrying?
Hmm. It's a really good question. I think who she was, I will say she was an aspiring astronaut because that was such a huge
Mhm.
part of my life.
Right.
And she was an aspiring astronaut who had had a lot of success in life and was really having a really amazing life, but was also probably carrying a lot of pressure
Mm.
of expectations.
Yeah.
pressure of perfectionism, also a little bit of pressure to change the world. I remember my fourth grade teacher actually told my mom that I was going to change the world. And I don't know how one makes that determination about a fourth grader, but in any case, she did. And so it's funny because looking back on it, I think, gosh, that feels like maybe a lot of pressure to put on a kid. But as I've, again, over the years, as I've come to process, I realized that it wasn't really an expectation. It was actually a statement of fact, in that we're all here to change the world,
Right.
even just one person at a time. Some people do it on this grand scale, and other people do it one person at a time, one smile at a time, whatever it is. And that it actually is why I'm here. So there was that, but at the time, there was some pressure there, and I'll say the one other thing I feel like I was probably carrying was a little bit of an identity quest, because I'm actually an identical twin. And I grew up, my sister and I are dear friends. We love each other to death. We had a wonderful, relationship growing up. We were also always together. We were the Corley twins. And even through college, we went to college together too. We didn't go to the same school just because the other one was going, but we both picked the same school, and we did Air Force ROTC together. She was also an officer, and so probably until I was 24, I was basically with my sister for most of my life. And then there's okay, who am I as an individual, not as a twin? So that was another sort of aspect.
That I relate to what you're saying, because I have twin brothers, and and they were always like together. They weren't identical, but they were always together. And it was sort of like the boys, the boys were, like they were one unit. So I can only imagine that identity needing to be carved out just for you. So do you think that like that you had any kind of fear around that before you made some decisions about, running on 7 different continents? And
no, I don't think I had any real fear about running on 7 continents. It's really interesting. I am not an elite runner by any means. I will cross the finish line, but I never really ran growing up. I started running when I joined the Air Force, and you have to take a PT test every year, physical fitness test. So I was starting to get in better shape. But anyway, I had never really run a marathon on my bucket list or anything, but I was actually with my parents on vacation in Carmel, California, over a Labor Day weekend, and my mom mentioned that there was a marathon in Big Sur, and I had started to run by that time. So I was telling her about my running stuff, and I was thinking, a marathon in Big Sur, how to run on Highway 1, how fun would that be? And it was September.
That's a great first marathon.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So the race was in April, and I thought, gosh, I could train for a marathon by April. And I did, again, not fast by any means, but then at the Race Expo, there was a table for the 7 Continents Club, which was a group of people who had run or were in the process of running marathons on all 7 continents. And again, I didn't have these words at the time, but it was a true soul calling. The idea, entered my head, and I was like, well, I mean, why wouldn't you do that? Of course I'm going to do that. As soon as the idea came in, it was like I couldn't turn it away. And so even before I lined up at the start line, I knew that I was going to do all 7. I didn't know how. I'm thinking Antarctica. I mean, oh my gosh, how does one run in Antarctica? But I was not really afraid. I knew that I'd figure it out.
What does make you feel afraid? Because that's a lot of great thing to do,
Actually, there kind of are a lot of things. Honestly, scuba diving is one of them. I've had some water incidents in life, the fear. I have a fear of drowning. I will say that, but also sometimes the fear of putting myself out there. And without necessarily knowing how it's going to turn out, which is how every day goes, of course. You don't know how it's going to turn out. But I think early in life, actually, even in my field training, in officer boot camp when I was in college for the Air Force, I had a field training officer who really taught me the value of taking risks.
Mm.
And, he somehow glommed onto me, and he was like, Cadet Corley, what do we learn at field training? And I, to take risks, sir, and and it was not about being reckless, but really
Right.
about cultivating creativity and courage. And so basically volunteering even when you're scared and feeling the fear and doing it anyway. So I've
Right, right,
had so much training and practice doing that even if I'm feeling a little squirmy, I'm like, okay, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to say yes to the thing.
right.
And so that's sort of just how I go through it.
Okay, that's really good. I mean, I love that, it's interesting to me how like there are different ways to achieve things,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
sometimes, being in the military, it's a different kind of way,
Hmm.
yet it still takes you to the same place.
Right. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I'd like to just kind of, take us now into the book,
Hmm.
because we're starting to have that conversation. And Running the World is not just a running book. It is a travel journal, a spiritual memoir, and honestly, it's really a love letter to what human beings are capable of. And
Hmm.
that's a really. Did you start off thinking you were going to write that?
No, no, I didn't. I didn't. I didn't. It was a really amazing process of just really the book kind of creating itself through me. And I remember actually I had some really phenomenal English teachers in high school. And
Mhm.
and actually, even though I was working hard at the science and math, I did well in all of my classes, but English and literature analysis and meaning making always actually came more naturally to me. And
Yeah.
so I loved English classes. I loved writing papers about the books we were reading and things like that. And I remember my sophomore year English teacher taught me that your conclusion should not be reiterating your introduction, because through the process of writing the paper, you should have learned something. So there should be a new idea in there. And I totally experienced that when I was writing the book. I learned things about my own life. It was sort of like doing literature analysis on my own life, because even
Wow.
just trying to decide what order to put the marathons in, which they end up in a sequential order, which makes sense. But for
Right.
some reason, when I was starting, I had thought I would do them in some other order. I don't even remember what order I was thinking about, but just
That's
the way they
interesting.
lined up, it was like
Yeah.
parallel to the development of my life. And then I learned so much else along the way. And this kind of letter to the spirit of humanity and the spirit of greatness that's in
Oh,
all of us just sort of emerged. And it was really amazing, and a lot of fun to just feel that creative process flowing
wow.
naturally.
That's really beautiful. Is that, did you find that was there anything that met you while you were writing that challenged your either belief around it, what you used to think, and now you've shifted
Mhm.
that? And did
Mhm.
you have to dig a little deep for any of those types of, I guess, what's the word I want to use? It's not recognition, but it's the bringing it together to like
Mhm.
bring it into one place. Do you know what I'm
Mhm.
asking?
Mhm. Mhm. There were some challenges. Yes, I think there. First of all, just kind of the monumental nature of it, of
Mhm.
trying to sort of chronicle while not just writing facts, but bringing in the inspiration and
Yeah,
and what were the life lessons that came out of each experience.
yeah.
Sometimes it felt like, I don't know how I'm ever going to get done. It's you have this huge Word document, and you're like, oh my gosh, how does I'd come up with an idea and I'd stick it down at the end, and by the time I got all my end notes into the right place, whew, then we're almost done with the draft. But it felt like there were moments when I was thinking, I don't know what to put here. But also some magic happened with that, because I found, okay, I would ask, okay, what goes here? And when I started asking those questions, like the thing that goes there, it emerged.
Just showed up. Yeah.
So it's a kind of a tribute to not trying to beat your head against the wall, figuring things out with your mind, but to let the answers come in. Sometimes I would ask, okay, what goes here, and then run outside, barefoot for a little bit, and then come in with an idea,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and so there were some challenging times, and I wasn't sure how it was all going to come together and what the overarching theme was.
Right.
Instead of just oh, and then we did this, and then we did this, that wasn't really the book that I wanted to write, and
Right.
but it just came together beautifully.
Oh, I love that. So it's like you were completely guided throughout the whole
Mhm, mhm.
writing of your book.
It felt like it created itself through me, which was really
Yes, yeah.
beautiful. Mhm,
Yes. I hear that a lot from writers who are writing like, I mean, I've written chapters. I haven't done a
mhm,
full, book of
mhm,
just me.
mhm,
So, I love hearing how that process works because I think
mhm,
it's such a mirror for what it is that you do in life now,
mhm, mhm.
in the
Yeah.
way that you
Mhm,
help others. And so
mhm,
I mean, what a great process to put yourself through to bring
mhm,
that out in you that allows you
mhm,
to do that.
Thank you.
So yes, of course. So I'd like to ask, in seven continents, uh, you had to have had so many different experiences, so seven different types of experiences,
Mhm,
different cultures, different landscapes, the versions of yourself showing up at each starting line. Is there
mhm.
one continent that cracked you open more than the others?
Yes. Yes. There is, and it was Asia and the Great Wall
Oh,
Marathon.
oh wow.
And yes, it was an amazing experience. I would say, and not necessarily because of the continent, but the race
Hmm.
itself
Yeah.
was actually the hardest for me, and yet
Mhm.
one of the most just really rewarding because it involved a lot of teamwork. So when I was preparing for the Great Wall, I something happened to my foot. I had this foot pain, and it would hurt every time I ran. And so I had actually not run for 6 weeks before the marathon.
Oh wow.
And I was thinking, I mean, I don't know how I'm going to get through this, but I'm going on the trip, and again, just cross the finish line.
Yeah.
And it was such a challenging marathon. They'd had an 8 hour time limit to finish it, and you had to get to mile 21 by a specific time in order to continue the race. They would have pulled you off the
Oh
course if you hadn't made
wow.
it to that checkpoint.
Okay.
So I was a run walker. So I would run for 5 minutes, walk for a minute, run for 5 minutes, walk for a minute, and I had a GPS watch that would time me and do it. This was in 2010, so this was before all the running apps and the smartphones and this, that, and the other thing.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
so I had one of these old clunky GPS watches that you like do the little timer thing on, but I was thinking I was only going to use it once, so I left my charger at home, just brought the watch, and so I get there to Beijing, and my watch is dead, and I'm like,
Oh no.
what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? So I haven't run in 6 weeks. My watch is dead. I have no idea how I'm going to get through this. But there was a woman in my tour group. So I went with a group called Marathon Tours and Travel,
Yeah.
and so there were a
Nice.
bunch of people there together. And she was an iron woman. Like, she had done
Oh wow.
Ironman races and stuff. She was in really good shape. She volunteered to run with me and pace me.
Oh my
So
gosh.
this
That's
woman, she was in way
amazing.
better shape than I was. But she ran with me on her watch, and we did 4 minutes and 2 minutes. So we ran for 4 minutes, walked for 2 minutes, ran for more, and she got me to the 21-mile checkpoint.
Wow.
And then she was feeling amazing, of course, because she had been running a lot slower than she's used to. And so she took off, which was great. She finished at her own pace, but then I was I was really dragging. And then I actually ended up coming to another guy that was in our tour group, and he had actually just kind of given up. He was sitting on the steps, and he said, "They can come pick me up tomorrow." And so he was just done. And I was like, I mean, I am not going to leave him here. I can't
Yeah,
leave him.
right, right.
So I had actually been following the advice of a friend of mine, and we on the steps. Not the whole race wasn't on the steps, but a lot of it was. And
Okay.
I was going
Oh
up,
my gosh.
10 steps at a time, or I think it was going up 20 steps at a time and stopping and resting, and 20 steps at a time and stopping and resting. And I told him that's what I was doing. And I said, how about if we just go up 10 steps? And he's like, okay, I think I can do that. So we went up 10 steps and we sat down, and then we did 10 more, and we incrementally just kept going and got off the wall, and ended up crossing the finish line hand in hand,
Wow.
with 7 hours and 53 minutes. So we had 7 minutes to spare. And so
You made
we
it.
made it, we made it. And so that one, just again, someone helped me get across, and then I helped someone else. I could turn around and kind of do the favor for someone else. And so I felt like
Right.
no one really finished that race alone. And it was really powerful.
Oh, that gives me goosebumps.
Mhm.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
It
Are
was
you still
cool.
in touch with the people that you went through? the running
Not
one?
as much. I actually don't. I don't keep in touch with the Iron Woman. Although I did put a picture of us in the book, and I did reach out to her and say, "Hey, can I? I'm writing this book, and I'm giving this little shout out." And so yeah. So she
Yeah.
was like, of course, I love it, I love it." And then the guy that got across, we exchanged Christmas cards.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah,
Nice. Was
yeah.
there something, I mean, you just mentioned the teamwork
hmm
and going through that. Was there anything else that clicked inside of you about yourself? I mean, you gave us the information of leading up, you hadn't
hmm
run in 6 weeks,
hmm
your watch wasn't charged and all
hmm
these things. What did you learn about something about you on that
mm
run?
mm. I learned, I this might be a little bit cheating. I think it's something I didn't learn for the first time, but I
Hmm.
did learn it that a lot of times I can actually perform better if I'm trying to motivate someone else than
Mm,
just motivating myself. Like I can pull reserves of strength and
yeah,
energy to help someone else that I'm not always as necessarily good at doing for myself, if that makes sense.
right.
Which maybe
Yes.
is another aspect of coaching, right? That's why
Yes.
coaching is so attractive to me.
Yeah.
But I think I don't know that I would have finished in time had I not actually been encouraging someone else to. I mean, hopefully I
Hmm.
would have, but I think having someone to focus my energy externally on helped me pull away actually from, oh, my stomach hurts, I feel nauseous, my legs hurt, blah
Right.
blah blah, all the
Right.
internal messaging.
Right. Right.
So I think having an external focus was really helpful for me. So I don't know, like, yeah, I guess is that about me or is that again about someone else? But also
Well,
learning that I could finish really hard things.
yes. Yeah. Yeah, I could
Mhm.
see that. Well, and I think sometimes it does help us to take um, a almost like a goal, a focus of
Mhm.
something outside of ourselves
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
motivate the interior,
Yes.
and
Mhm.
so motivating that internal part of you that could bring
Mhm.
out these
Mhm.
other things, and it helped you. It was sort of like a mirror in a way, right?
Right.
So I
Mhm.
think that
Mhm.
makes a lot of sense, and I don't think it sounds like, you know, it doesn't. We might want to immediately think the brain goes, oh, so it's easier for you to help others. What
Mhm.
really, though, it's not necessarily the truth. The truth is
Right.
really that it helped you.
Mhm. Yes.
And
Yes.
so, and aren't
Mhm.
we all the, I mean, if we go by the philosophy of we're all one,
Yes, which I totally subscribe to.
right?
Mhm.
Then it was him helping you helping
Yes.
him,
Mhm.
etc. So
Yes.
I
Yes.
that's a really great lesson to learn. I mean, I think that
Mhm.
that right there is the thread,
Yeah.
It's so
Mhm.
beautiful.
Mhm.
Oh,
Mhm.
I mean,
Mm.
I am not a runner, but it makes me want to go run 7 continents.
Totally.
It's very cool, like what you did.
Yeah,
And
thank
I
you.
know that the book has won like a gold award from the Independent Book Publishers Association.
Mhm.
So congratulations on that. That's wonderful.
Thank
And
you.
yes, you're welcome. And I want to know, what does the woman who ran all seven feel when she holds that book? Not the
Mm.
author, not the
Mhm.
athlete, just Melissa.
Mm. Oh, what a beautiful question. I love this question. I feel joy and awe, I guess I would say, and just for the creative process that for the process of running itself, just
Right.
wow, that was really cool. But I mean, I love my book so much. I actually still cry in parts. I mean, I know I wrote it, but I when I go back and read parts of it, I get teary eyed because
Oh,
it's really meaningful.
yeah.
And it's really fun, and I also love, like, there's little inside things. My friend's little son, who was like 5 at the time, had some comment about birds being dinosaurs, and I wrote exactly what he put, like, it wrote it
That's
in one of the
right.
captions for my pictures, and so, like, little inside jokes that only I would know about, but also just the I find it, I mean, because it sound really arrogant, but I find it really inspirational, and
It's not arrogant. You got to
but
speak truth, Melissa. That's just
yeah,
all it is.
yeah. So I was reading it recently. I was kind of rereading it, and I was like, dang, that was a really good book. I did a really good job. But it's just it was just such a beautiful creation process that
Oh,
it kind of makes me giddy.
oh, I can see that. Did you ever think that you would write a book like that or write a book at all, period?
No, I didn't actually. That wasn't necessarily what I was intending to do. I had the scientist path going, and then there was
Yeah.
coaching, but I guess, well, I did in a sense. I was actually, when the idea for that book kind of came in, I was actually trying to write a book about leadership.
Mm,
And again, when I was little, again, I love writing papers, but I didn't ever think I was going to write a book.
right.
But somewhere along the way, when the coaching journey started, it was one of those options. I was like, okay, cool. I'll write a book about, whatever, leadership, something. But
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
and their dog has written a book about leadership, and I was thinking, what am I going to say that's any different? So I was actually really struggling, and
Mm,
I was kind of at my wits' end, like, oh, what do I have that's unique? What am I doing? And
right,
then
right.
I was literally kind of at the end of my rope thinking, all right, universe, what am I doing with my life? And maybe not 20 minutes later, the idea coffee table book landed about the marathons. And I was like, oh, right. I
That's
have my pictures, I have my stories. Duh, it's totally uniquely me. And so
mhm.
that kind of kicked off that whole magical cycle of the creative process.
And I love that you framed it in a coffee table book because, so many people out there will write books which are all meaningful and
Mhm,
chock full of experiences and wisdom, yet to bring it in such a format that allows it to be easy, like
mhm.
it's ease,
It
it's
is.
sit down, flip through, learn
Mhm,
some wonderful things, see some
mhm,
beautiful photographs,
mhm,
and go on a journey
mhm.
that is,
Yes.
I think that that is something in my mind is memorable.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
those are things you don't forget,
Yes. Yeah.
and so
Mhm,
I love that you listen to the voice that
mhm,
brought you simplicity,
mhm,
because I
mhm.
think
Yes.
that's a broader expanded, version
Mhm.
than the book you might have written if you did it on leadership, because truly this does show leadership throughout.
Yes, yes, and because
So,
all leadership starts with leadership of the self, and it was a
yes.
finding yourself kind of story. So,
Yeah.
yes, it really was the book about leadership, just not the way I thought it was gonna go, and in fact, much
Hmm.
better. So,
I
yeah,
love that. I love that.
yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
and you did something else unique with this book. You
Mhm,
added
mhm,
a card deck that's called
mhm.
Running Your World, and
Yes.
your is emphasized here. So
Mhm,
for the
mhm,
woman listening right now who will never run a marathon,
mhm.
how does her world get into this work?
Yes, great question. And actually, it's cool because the book is not really about running. Of course, it's about marathons, but again, like I said, I'm not an elite runner. It's not about how to run. It's about how running is a metaphor for life. And so
Yeah.
it's really about all the life lessons from running. And because photography is a really important aspect, I actually, like I said, coffee table guy, I had already made online photo albums from all of my trips because
Mm,
I've always loved
mm,
photography. And so
yeah.
with the card deck, here it is right here.
Ooh,
It's basically all the cards
so
are
pretty.
a photo from one of the continents and then a little message on the back with inspiration and reflection prompts. So honestly, you don't need to be a runner or anything else to get into the work, either to read the book or to benefit from the card deck. So
I love
I've actually
that.
always said that you don't need to run a marathon on all 7 continents or even one marathon at all to live an epic life. You
Mm,
are already powerful, unique, and awesome, and you are here to make a difference, not by what you do, but by being you.
mm.
So it's really, you just pick up a deck, pick up I actually do weekly videos, do of card draw videos, which is a
Oh,
great way
good.
to get introduced to it. And if I know we may be a little bit over our time, but we can draw
Okay.
a card if you would like. We can draw
Oh,
a
yes,
card
let's
for
do that.
listening.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Okay.
Okay,
Awesome. Awesome.
go
All right.
ahead.
So I'm just going to ask, for you listening today, what card most wants to support you in shining your light in the world? That question out there. I'm just going to shuffle the cards. Let's see. Our card for you is, oh, okay. All right. This is potential. So we have this little baby bird with gigantic feet.
Oh, the little dinosaur.
And the message, yeah, the message of potential is you are in a precious stage of life. Like a baby bird just beginning to grow into the potential foreshadowed by its huge feet, you have the potential to grow into the fullest expression of who you are. At each stage, you're not behind, broken, or in need of fixing. Growing into your potential doesn't mean you're not already whole. It simply means there's even more alignment and fulfillment to come as each worldly, embodied, and spiritual experience adds to the totality you've already collected. Every day offers the potential for growth, learning, and exploration. Don't rush the process or discount the stage you're in now. You can't grow unless you live here and now first. Let curiosity and wonder for this present moment shape what comes next. Let yourself expand into your infinite potential.
That is lovely. Lovely. Thank you. So inspiring, Melissa. And for yes, of course. And for our listeners, if you wouldn't mind giving me the information from the card so I can put it in the notes for everyone, so they can have that handy for themselves. So I'd like to just say that this is just the beginning of our conversation, and we're going to have a part 2, and we're going to go into your work as a coach. So for our listeners, you really want to stay tuned and listen up for wait for our next segment, which is going to be on energy leadership. And there's something really unique here for you to learn. So I already know our listeners are going to feel something shift. So be sure to stay with us, everyone, and we will see you shortly.